Hello, Jacqueline Jimenez. When you think of a brand, you often think of the logo, like Nike or McDonald's and the arches. But when it comes to branding, personal branding, it goes much further. And the benefits, in many cases, I think, are far more reaching. So today, to talk more about that, is the brand master himself, Grant McGaugh, who is the host of Follow the Brand. So thanks for joining me, Grant.
No, thank you for having me.
So your company is Five Star BDM. What is BDM stand for?
BDM stands for Brand Development Masters. Now, to be totally transparent, when I started in my career, which is 25 years ago, I was a business development master for a lot of time. So I'm doing, sales development, I'm doing account management, things of that nature. So as I pivoted about 3 years ago and started my company in 2019, I felt I needed something different. So I wanted to basically, as you said earlier, focus on the personal brand of you. Because when you're in sales, you're constantly selling yourself first before someone's truly interested in your product or service. And that became the brand that I am today, Brand Development Masters.
So how do you get, this whole idea of branding? Uh, it has changed so much in the past, I will say 5 years specifically. You know, people say, what is brand? Why do people need to understand their brand and how do they get there?
Man, that's a great question. And sometimes branding and marketing are used interchangeably, but they're completely really different. You have to brand first, then market. Market is when you go to market. That's when you're actually out there promoting your product, your service, your words, and what you're doing. But before you can do any of that, you've got to develop your brand. Your brand is your identity. How are you going to show up? What do you look like? What's the personality of your product or service that you're doing? Now, me, I focus on personal branding because I've learned, especially in this digital age, that you yourself are the brand that people will resonate with. They want to understand who you are. They want to understand the word of mouth. What are you representing? Because I could see a commercial, right? I can see some things out there, but how much truth is going to resonate with me? How am I going to take action just on that alone? Typically, you're going to take action because of the personal brand that you've established. Think about this. When you think about an electric car, you think about Tesla, Elon Musk. You think about Elon Musk first, and he's more than just Tesla, right? He's more than just SpaceX and some of the things he's doing. You think about Oprah. She's the brand, right? And then you realize, oh yeah, she was she was an actress, she did all these other things, but she is the brand. You need to be the brand of yourself.
I always tell that to people too, Grant, because I say, to certain people, okay, so you understand who you see the brand Nike or the logo Nike, and you're like, oh, and then you see the brand, the McDonald's arches. I said, so who's behind that brand? Who started it? Most people don't know. And so if when people see your brand, they don't recognize you or see your face, then you're not doing it right. And so, they need someone like you to come up with a what?
Oh, there you
A
go.
brand blueprint.
And
Okay?
you've got to have that. And this is the classic mistake that I see with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs is that they want to rush out to market first. Hey, I've got to develop my website. I've got to get out there. I've got to do all these social media posts and these kinds of things. But that is execution. You haven't now stood back or sat back and really thought about strategy. And this is when you're really going to need a coach. Someone is going to have to take you through a process in which you now have a blueprint that's going to actually help you scale over the next 6 months, 1 year, 18 months. You have an actual playbook. Think about this. Would you actually, if you're a professional football player, what happens if you take the field and you don't have the coach's playbook? You're going to be out of alignment. You're not going to be able to participate at the highest level because you don't know where the play is going or how things are being done. The brand blueprint is about setting you up for success. Let's step back and take a look at what's your differentiation strategy. You have to be different in your marketplace. There's a lot of people doing what you do. You're not the only one, but you are the only person doing what you do as you are. That's part of your
And the way
personal
they do it,
brand.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No one does it exactly how you do it. So we need to focus on that. When the first thing we're going to do is do an assessment. We're going to start looking at the market that you're looking to penetrate. Let's take a look at the market research, what's involved in the market, who's doing what you want to do at a high level, right? And let's take like three examples. Let's take a look at that. How do you compare and contrast with what the market is looking for right now? And that's going to lead into what we call your skills gap workbook. We have to look at your skill sets as you compare with what the market is doing today and the top leaders. Where do you sit? What are you then getting your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses? What are the opportunities and threats? And then the recommendations of what you need to do next to shore up all of these things. And then you're going to begin to understand your differentiation strategy. What makes you different? What you're going to really double down on that's going to resonate, and that's going to give you what we call your brand voice, your brand personality. We're starting to get now going from a black and white canvas to something more colorful. We're starting to have some meaning because it is imbued with the three things that you have to have in your brand approach, in your marketing. You have to have your personal story. You have to have your business story, and you have to understand the customer journey. All of this has got to be imbued into your brand strategy. And then we start to go into what is that really going to look like and embody it and understand where do we need to go with this newfound image that you've built for yourself. Where's it going to rest? Is it going to be in social media? Is it going to be the right kind of social media? We start to look at channels and what's the best way to promote you. We start looking at, wow, you know what, to get you up to speed, because speed to market is so important. Or you're going to start looking like, you know what, I need to do workshops. I need to do podcasts. I need to do certain things that gets me noticed in the target market that I'm going after.
I want people to really pay attention to what Grant was just saying. Did you hear all that? You can't do that by yourself. You know, it's so important for you to realize that these elements are important first. If you don't know, first of all, you have to decide who and what your brand is. And sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes you have to talk it out with someone. And it's really important to have someone like Grant because that research, I know most of you are going, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. That's why you have Grant, or to do that because that research is so important, but also someone who's looking from the outside in. What does somebody outside looking into your business, they'll see something completely different that you might not even recognize. And it's so important that that messaging comes across because then you'll know how to promote your own business because what you're going to get is the results you're looking for, right?
You're going to get the real essence of who you are and what your business is, the essence of it. And when you can stand on that essence, then you can begin to do all the things that you're going to need to do from a marketing aspect, right? What's your print going to look like? What is your commercials going to look like? All these things you have to have, because when you go to someone else, you say, hey, I want you to build out my website, or I want you to make this commercial for me. They're going to want some of these things that we just talked about. How are you going to have your brand guidelines if you have not told your personal story? All these things have all the elements that we start to think about when we think about traditional marketing, your logo, your this, your fonts and all that. All that comes all the way back to you. And that is what's so important. And then the understanding of the business, meaning the business problem that you're solving. What is the problem that you're solving with your business, right? Once you understand what that is, and you can help others understand what that is very quickly about what you do. You want to get to that point where they just look at your logo and they know exactly what you're doing. You see the McDonald's logo, you know exactly what that is. You want to get to that point. Now, how do I get there? I do a number of different things on personal branding, but I'm doing it in front of my target audience. Another classic mistake people do, like they will just blast a lot of things out there, but it's not targeted. It's not about having millions and millions of views. It's about having the right views. I'd
Right.
rather have 100 people of the right people that are looking for my product and service, looking at my content to get wisdom, to get information, to get knowledge, than having a whole countryside like, I don't know what he's talking about. No, so it's very important.
And and you have to let them, people know that yes, okay, if you hire, and there's a lot of people and a lot of businesses in particular that have hired people to do their posting, but what they're posting really has no value. And it really needs to be intentional. And we kind of, we brand things differently. I brand things through story, you brand things through different ways, but all of it is really important because once you brand, then you can come to me. Then we can share that story in a story, in a news story or a video, and then we can market it, right? But
Yes.
you first really need to sit down with somebody like Grant so that you can really look through who you are and really understand what you want in your business. Now, I want you to touch on something else a little bit. And that is we talk about business owners, but we also, if you're an executive in a company, you have a brand of your own, especially when it comes to personal branding. And I'm trying to help more and more executives see that because I'm also a media strategist, right? And so I help them with their media strategy from the standpoint of how to promote yourself through the media, but to be an expert in a news story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they still have to have a brand. They still need to have a website. Even if they don't have a company, they can be a consultant. And it's so important. I keep trying to push that message out there on every platform I can because they still need you, even if they don't have their own company. Because I know so many executives who are doing far more work outside of their jobs that are promotable, that can be profitable. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. What you're talking about now is the new way to have self promotion, but it's more than that. It's about demonstrating your personal skill sets, your knowledge sets, what sets you apart about who you are as an individual. You cannot rely today in the digital world of just having a CV, just having a bio, just having a regular resume. That's not going to get it. The first thing a recruiter is going to do is look at your social media. And people are like, well, I'm not going to be on social media. But then that's also a red flag because here's the deal. If you don't tell a story about who you are, someone else will,
Oh, won't they? They
right? And
certainly will.
who knows what that story is actually going to look like and feel like. So if you're not intentional about creating your story and putting it out there, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Here's the other thing, and I see this a lot. People say, oh, well, I don't want to talk about everything I ate that day or what I did or I went to the store. I said, no, think about what I'm saying here. If you are an executive, and for instance, I'll say you're a healthcare administrator because I work with a lot of healthcare administrators.
Great
And
news stories in health, by the way, every single day.
that's
Just
it.
throwing that out there. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
lots of stories. But if I'm looking and I'm sitting like, wow, how is this person really telling a story about what they do? And I might not even understand what it is that they do, but through their social media, they're talking about what they need to do in their business, in their organization. Not even that some of that could be somewhat personal, but then getting into the broader aspects of the industry and the trends, and you start to establish yourself as a thought leader, as a go-to person about the actual skill sets that you have, that the organization that you lead, and you're talking about these things that impact people on a monthly, weekly, daily basis. So when something happens, or like this is what happened to me even yesterday. I walk into a room, I've got CEOs coming to me and talking to me because they already know my brand. I've got different executives talking to me about what they want to do and can I help them. This happens because I'm not getting in their face, giving them a business card, and they're talking about my business. They already know because they've already seen it on social media and that type of thing. Now we get to another level of conversation. That is what I would like our executives to be thinking about. How can we get to a higher level of conversation before you even walk in the room?
Absolutely, because they are going to be looking you up on in every which way or facet. So one of the things that we know is that this show in particular goes live on LinkedIn, and other, business platforms. And so when you're going through the LinkedIn profiles, what needs to stand out? You've got a LinkedIn social selling course that is not only beneficial but affordable. Can you talk about that, please?
Absolutely. This is one thing that came back to me from my brand and my audience. They're telling me, like, Grant, we really like the way you brand yourself. Can you show me how you're doing what you're doing, specifically on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is my uh, uh, social media of choice because I'm more into a business to business atmosphere. I'm in a professional atmosphere. So, one of the things that you see a lot of times on LinkedIn is that the visibility is not great. Now, this is a true story. It happened to me. This was back in 2014, I believe. And I went to a corporate training. And in that corporate training, and I'm a sales professional, they're saying, hey, in order to meet with your client and meet with them on LinkedIn, how are you showing up? And he said, Grant, who do you want to talk to? Well, I want to talk to the vice president of IT. So he showed on the screen about 3 vice presidents of IT. They had a well crafted background. They had a real nice headshot. They had an about story that resonated and told exactly what they were about in a story form. And he said, great. Now let's take a look at your profile. And I looked at my profile. It was a eye opener. I looked horrible. I had a full body shot. I just regurgitated my resume onto my LinkedIn profile. There was nothing that was outstanding about it. There's nothing that differentiated about me. And here was the kicker. He said, why would this person want to do business with you? Looking at your profile. I'm like, wow. I've got to change it. So a lot of times people think, wow, these people just ignore me. They don't have time for me. No, when they see you, you're not interesting. There's nothing intriguing about you.
It's
You're
that
very
first
human.
impression before they even meet you. And that's what people nearly need to understand is that because of social media, they can see you first before they meet you.
Yes.
And if you have to change that messaging and decide who you're going to be, what message you want to, portray, and it actually starts with social media. And when they see you're not engaged and when they see you're not up to date, then that tells them something. And even for myself, I'm guilty of all the above.
But there's a
Guilty,
solution.
guilty,
That's
guilty.
why I came out with the solution. It's a course. It is a 5-step tutorial. You take it at your own leisure, but I'm going to show you how to optimize your profile to actually make it stand out. I'm going to show you how to optimize your about section. This is a word a lot of people fail at. They'll just put some generic information here. This is the time, just like we're doing here. You tell your story. You tell your story about what you're passionate about, what you're about, what do you do, what makes you different. No one has that same story. But if you just put in there, I'm XYZ executive or trainer of such and such company, and that's it, you've just put yourself in a lump sum of about 500 million other people instead of the company of one person because they're only looking at you and you need to be able to tell your story. So I'm going to show you not only how to build that profile, but I'm going to show you how to engage. That's the social selling aspect of this. How to engage, how to actually have conversation, how to do digital networking at a high professional level. So you're not annoying. You're not just randomly sending out messages and things like that to people. No, people are engaging with you because you're interesting, you're intriguing, and you have something that they want to know more about because they're curious about you.
And even when I post, or even when I comment, I should say, I always comment most of the time as an open conversation. I'm expecting somebody to respond to me. So I'm not just posting information, I'm looking for a response. So respond in a way that somebody else can, comment on it. Pick somebody, name somebody even. Join somebody in that conversation because what? Every time someone likes, comments, it goes to the top of the feed. So you're now introducing yourself to a new audience every single time. People go, "You comment on your own post?" Yeah, I do. But instead of sending them a post with like, a mile long paragraph, I'll send a short post. And then what I was going to say in that long paragraph, I'll just, continue to put that in the comments at different times over days, even to keep pushing that story to the top of the feed. I want to introduce this story to a new audience because they've never seen it. For them, it's brand new. And that's, these are certain things, that people just need to understand. If they understood the simplicity of social media and being able to take advantage of it, you'll get so much more, bang for your buck, right?
Oh, well,
Kind of a thing.
the algorithm is what you're talking. You have to understand how these social media platforms work, specifically on LinkedIn. It wants engagement. And the more you engage with it and other people engage with your particular post, the more it expands. And not only expands in your network, and expands into their network, right? So it really, really is important to socially engage, just like if you were at a networking event, you would engage, you would comment, you would have conversation. We want to continue this in a digital platform.
And it's important to not just comment on your post. You need to go and comment and intentionally comment on 3 or 4 people a day at least. You should be able to do that, or like or something on somebody else's post, because again, that introduces your name to somebody else's post, and then they're going, "Who's that?" And then they come look at yours. It's just, back and forth, back and forth. But if you never comment or like anything and you just read, this is not the time to stay, mousy in a corner. You really have to get to know people.
And
And
remember, you just said a very important thing. Once you like, comment, and share, people then go back to your profile. Guess what? Your profile's got to be on point. It's got to be right. So you have a continuous conversation. Like, wow, I've talked to so many different people. People like my podcast. Well, probably 99% of the people that I have on my podcast, I have met through social networking.
I believe that a whole, 100%. Let's get into that grand podcast that you have every week that is just growing, by numbers and numbers, So who do you want to interview? Tell us about it. What is it about?
Well, this is a good, initially when I started the podcast, and I'm going to go back to what we were talking about with strategy. You have to have a strategy. How are you going to get your message in front of the right audience? Very, very important. I chose podcasting because I felt I had the personality and I had the network that I would have a continuous pipeline of interesting people that I could interview specific to the space that I'm in. Now, I am in healthcare and I am in information technology, and I'm also into branding. So I want to bring those types of guests to the forefront. Hence, follow the brand. Now, follow the brand is very broad in the sense that I can pretty much put anybody on my podcast that wants to enhance their brand. They want, because if you are a human being, guess what? You could probably be on my podcast. If you're doing something interesting and you're an entrepreneur, you're into your career, all of these things are elements. So I interview a lot of different healthcare executives, a lot of different IT executives. This particular gentleman here, he is huge in the metaverse, but not just in the metaverse, not in just virtual reality. He's actually helping children to become early adopters of this type of technology. He's a technologist, and he's able to then show them step by step, not just the inner workings of the end user, but actually knowing how to code and create in these worlds. And he's doing that from a kindergarten to all the way through 12th grade, showing them how to do this. And that's my good buddy, Bernard Key. I've had over 100 different people so far on my show. It's become very popular. Number one, we differentiate every single episode, very personalized. Everyone has a different cover art week to week. Everyone will get a personalized video on my show. These are things that you don't get on a regular podcast. So I made my podcast different. I differentiated myself. And because I'm talking about personal branding, I'm talking about how do you build a 5-star brand. That means you have to differentiate yourself. If you've got to bring concierge service to your target audience. And that is what I do. And when I work with my clients, I'm showing them how to do the very same thing.
And and just from the outside looking in, Grant, you have a meticulous point of view, if you will. So if you're going to work with Grant, he's going to look through the details of your business. It's just his nature. That's just something you'll find, and that's what you need. You need someone who's going to go through your business and literally pick through it and get to what's important to you and what's important to the people who need your services or product or want to get to know you for whatever the reason is. And that's so important because you can't have a lazy brand person. You just
Right.
can't. You really can't. They really have to be on it. But having eyes that will look in and then being able to take it is really important. So if you're gonna have a brand person, then you know expect some criticism because it's coming.
Yeah, and that one is it's really just how do we expand? How do we grow? You always have iterations. It's an evolution. You might come out with a sketch and then it becomes more clear, more clear. Well, I'm helping you to get clarity about what you're looking to do and then maybe make some alignments then where you're misaligned, not only in business, but also in your career, and then understanding because there's still a lot of people that I've seen that just I'm shy. I don't want to do that. I work with a nurse. She'd been a career nurse for 20 years. She had a very good interest in the Web 3.0 emerging technology world, NFT world. She said, man, I really like this world. I want to be able to do this as a business. And I showed her how she utilized her 20-year career as a nurse to be actually a subject matter expert in her world as what she now has been branded as the NFT nurse.
Mm.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So tell us, Grant, how can people find you? I know that the ticker is scrolling across the bottom, but what's the best way to connect with you so that people can find you and get your services?
Absolutely. So you can go to my website at 5-Star BDM. That's B for brand, D for development, Informasters.com. That's where you're going to find all the episodes of Follow the Brand, the Follow the Brand podcast. That is a library of information for people looking for career development, business development, financial empowerment, technology, innovation, and brand mastery. So I encourage you all to go there. Also, you'll find me on Follow the Brand TV YouTube. You'll see all the episodes when I come on live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. with a guest. You never know what we're going to be talking about. Well, we're going to be talking about something that's interesting, intriguing, and top of mind week to week.
Wow. Just listening to you on a regular basis is just, I'm so glad I had you on to give people an insight of the brand and just the difference between, getting a brand for your logo and a personal brand, because it really is to me the wave of the future. People are buying in to the purpose behind your business, the purpose behind
Sure.
your title, if you will. And it's so important to bring that story and then to help tell it. For me, I'm like, let now once you get your brand, now let's tell that personal story.
Sure.
Let's go behind it, the scenes, and get to the bottom of what you're talking about, but show it because many people are visual learners, and you
Yes.
have to show them what it is. It's like you said, it's not about being on social media and, oh, it's about me. No, it's about people seeing about you and understanding what you do, but seeing it, hearing your testimonies. When you go to Grant's site, listen to the testimonies, the people who he's worked with. You know, don't just take it from Grant, don't take it even from me. Take it from the people who he's worked with. That's how you find out. But if you have no testimonials on your site, if you don't have any, and I don't mean quotes, I mean actual people talking, humans, you know, I don't want to hear quotes. Anyone can write a quote. I need a testimonial. I need somebody that is a verified. I'm a journalist. I need a verifiable source, and I need them human, and I need them talking, or I need to be able to see what you have produced, and that's what other people need to see, and then it will sell itself.
True.
You know. And so, thank you again, Grant. I look forward to sharing this and seeing what you do next.
Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching.